Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Tonight, we address one of humanity's oldest and deepest questions. Does God exist? On my left, we have believers' name, defending the position that God exists. On my right, we have non-believers' name, arguing that belief in God is unnecessary and unproven. Each side will have an opening statement, followed by structured arguments and rebuttals. Let's begin. Thank you. I stand here today not only on the grounds of faith but on the firm ground of reason. The existence of the universe, the fine-tuning of nature, the presence of objective morality, and the deep yearning of the human soul for meaning and transcendence, all point toward the reality of God. Faith is not a leap into darkness. Faith is a step into the light of understanding that reason alone can glimpse but never fully grasp. Without God, we are left with a universe of brute facts, without ultimate purpose, value, or hope. Tonight, I will show that belief in God is not only reasonable but essential. Thank you. Belief in God has been with humanity for millennia, but tradition does not equate to truth. Science, logic, and critical thinking urge us to question ancient assumptions. We no longer attribute lightning to Zeus or disease to demons. We have learned to search for natural explanations. Similarly, when confronted with life's mysteries, we must resist the temptation to insert an invisible being as the answer. I argue that there is no convincing evidence for God's existence, and that reality, as complex and mysterious as it is better explained without invoking the supernaturally. Let us begin with the cosmological argument. Everything that begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist. Therefore, the universe has a cause. This cause must be timeless, spaceless, immaterial, powerful, and intelligent, qualities that match the concept of God. The Big Bang Theory supports the universe's beginning. Nothingness cannot produce somethingness. Thus, and cause a God must exist. NB. The cosmological argument assumes that every beginning requires a cause, but quantum physics shows events at the quantum level occur without clear causes. Moreover, even if the universe had a cause, how do you jump from first cause to God and specifically to a personal God? Also, why can't the universe itself be the necessary thing, the thing that just is? Postulating God adds an unnecessary extra layer. Quantum events happen in a framework of physical laws. They are not from absolute nothingness. And the universe clearly had a beginning. It's expanding and cooling. An infinite regress of causes is philosophically impossible. Thus, a necessary being God is the most rational explanation. We simply don't know what preceded the Big Bang. Ignorance is not proof of God. It is more honest to say, we don't know than to insert God as a placeholder for mystery. Next, the teleological argument. The universe appears finely tuned for life. If the gravitational force were slightly weaker or stronger, if the cosmological constant were slightly different, life could not exist. This precision suggests intentional design. It's not reasonable to think this immense, improbable order arose by pure chance. Improbability does not imply design. In a multiverse with billions of universes, some would naturally have conditions suitable for life. We find ourselves in one such universe, not because it was designed for us, but because otherwise, we wouldn't be here to observe it. This is the anthropic principle, not design, but selection bias. The multiverse theory is highly speculative and improvable. To escape belief in one unseen entity God, atheists propose an infinite number of unseen universes. That's not science, that's desperation. Design remains the more rational, simpler explanation. Argument 3. Moral argument. We all recognize certain moral truths. That murder is wrong. That love is better than hatred. That courage is better than cowardice. If morality were purely subjective, then murder is wrong would just be a personal opinion, like chocolate is better than vanilla. But we know deep down that morality is objective. Objective morality requires a moral lawgiver God. Morality can be explained naturally. Evolution favored social cooperation because it helped us survive. Empathy, guilt, and moral instincts evolved like language and vision. We don't need God for morality. We are moral because it's advantageous to our survival and flourishing. Evolution explains behavior, not moral obligation. It might explain why we feel guilt, but not whether genocide is truly wrong. Without God, there's no real foundation for objective good and evil, only preferences. Even if objective morality existed, It doesn't prove the existence of a theistic God. At best, it would suggest some kind of Platonic moral truths, not necessarily a personal deity. Argument for problem of evil. Now, I present the problem of evil. If an all-powerful, all-good God exists, why do natural disasters kill innocent children? Why cancer? Why tsunamis? An all-powerful being would have the ability to prevent evil. An all-good being would want to prevent evil. Yet evil exists. Thus, such a God likely does not exist. The existence of evil does not disprove God. Rather, evil implies a standard of goodness which points to God. Moreover, God allows free will. Without free will, there would be no genuine love, no real moral choices. Natural evils like earthquakes occur because the world operates under consistent natural laws, which are necessary for life to exist at all. And finally, Christian belief holds that this world is not the end. Suffering will be redeemed, allowing gratuitous and necessary suffering, especially among those incapable of free choice, like infants, seems incompatible with a loving deity. If a parent stood by while their child drowned, doing nothing, we would call them a monster, not loving. God is not indifferent. He entered into human suffering through Christ. He walks with us in suffering and ultimately will bring justice. Pain now does not mean victory for evil in the end. Argument 5. Meaning of life. Without God, life is ultimately meaningless. If we are cosmic accidents, then love, courage, art, and beauty are just illusions of evolved apes. With God, every life has eternal value. Our suffering, our joys, our dreams, they matter eternally. Meaning is what we create. It does not have to be cosmic to be real. The beauty of life is that we forge meaning ourselves, through love, creativity, kindness, and pursuit of truth. Without needing celestial validation, subjective meaning is fleeting. Without eternal meaning, even the greatest achievements are swallowed by death, forgotten by a cold, indifferent universe. Only God can give life ultimate significance. Argument from consciousness. Consciousness or awareness, thoughts, emotions cannot be reduced to mere physical processes. Material objects are unconscious. Thus, the emergence of consciousness points to a conscious creator. Neuroscience increasingly shows that consciousness arises from complex brain activity. While we don't fully understand it yet, invoking God only stops inquiry. Mystery is not evidence of divinity. Argument from beauty. The universal human experience of beauty in nature, music, art, transcends survival needs. Beauty points to a divine artist who imbued creation with wonder beyond mere utility. Beauty is subjective and evolved because it promotes bonding, survival, and communication. There is no need to invoke a supernatural artist to explain why we find sunsets beautiful. Argument from religious experience. Throughout history, millions have experienced visions, miracles, answered prayers, and a sense of divine presence. Personal experience is a powerful form of evidence. Religious experiences are culturally influenced and can be explained by psychology, brain chemistry, and social conditioning. Different religions produce contradictory experiences. They can't all be right. Argument from desire. Every natural desire has a real object. Hunger corresponds to food, thirst to water. Humans have a deep longing for meaning, eternity, and ultimate joy, desires that point toward God. NB. Just because we desire something doesn't mean it exists. We desire immortality, but that doesn't prove we are immortal. Desires can be evolutionary illusions to motivate survival. Argument from miracles. Certain events like healings, visions, or impossible survivals defy natural explanation. Miracles, documented across centuries, are best explained by divine intervention. Miracles are often anecdotal, exaggerated, or misunderstood. They suffer from confirmation bias and lack rigorous investigation. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Argument from logic and mathematics. Abstract truths like logic and math are immaterial and eternal. Why do these known physical realities exist? Because they reflect the mind of a rational creator. Mathematics and logic are human inventions to model patterns observed in nature. Their usefulness doesn't imply a divine origin. Argument from order in nature. Nature operates with precise laws of gravity, thermodynamics, electromagnetism. The consistency and intelligibility of the universe suggest a lawgiver behind it. The universe must have regularities for anything, including life, to exist. If chaotic universes existed, no beings would be around to notice them. This doesn't require a conscious lawgiver. Argument from free will. If atheistic materialism is true, then all thoughts and choices are just chemical reactions determined by physics. Real free will, the ability to choose, points to a soul beyond matter and, ultimately, a divine source. Free will is compatible with a naturalistic understanding of the mind. Even if choices are influenced by biology, complexity allows genuine decision-making without invoking souls or gods. Pascal's wager. Even if you are uncertain about God's existence, it's rational to believe. If God exists, you gain eternal happiness. If not, you lose little. It's the safest bet. Belief is not a wager. Authentic belief cannot be forced. And which God should we wager on? Many religions claim exclusive truth. Argument from history, specifically Jesus. The life, death, and resurrection of Jesus are historically attested by multiple sources. The rise of Christianity against all odds, based on eyewitness claims, points toward divine action. Historical claims are subject to distortion. Many myths and religions have claimed divine miracles. Extraordinary resurrection claims demand stronger evidence than ancient texts. The universe is beautiful and mysterious, but we must not be afraid to say, we don't know. We should resist easy answers and seek truth courageously. There is no compelling evidence for the existence of God. And life, even without God, can be deeply meaningful. Reason, morality, beauty, the very existence of the universe, all whisper the name of God. Faith is not a leap in the dark, but a step into the light. Without God, we are lost shadows. With God, we are eternal beings, beloved and destined for glory. Thank you. Thank you both. Ladies and gentlemen, the question remains, does God exist? The journey for truth continues. Good night.